So let's get into our final review of the day, and it's going to be for the film The Marvels. The Marvels, which is the sequel to Captain Marvel. This is directed by Nia DaCosta. Nia DaCosta, probably people probably remember her film The Candyman, which was the reboot requel of the 1990s Candyman film that she had. But she is directing this film here. And in the Marvels, you have Brie Larson returning as the titular character of Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers. You also have the additions of Tiana Paris, who plays Monica Rambeau, who we first saw she was first introduced in the Captain Marvel movie as a little girl, but the adult version that we saw her in WandaVision. And then we also have the addition of Iman Vellani, who's Kamala Khan in this movie, Miss Marvel, who she had her own Disney Plus Marvel show there. That's where we saw the first introduction of her character. So it's a situation where maybe you have to have seen two other Disney Plus shows to maybe understand what's going on in this movie, besides just watching the previous movie, which that you just what I mean. You remember that was kind of a lot simpler when you just had to watch one movie before what I mean, and understand the sequel there. But now it's all these other shows and spinoffs that you kind of have to watch in order to maybe
Mhm.
understand who this character is and who that character is. So you have the three of them who are all teaming up to stop a villain. And the villain is probably one of the most generic villains that MCU has ever had, and that's saying something because they've had a lot of really generic villains. They've had the villain from the Dark Elf from Thor 2, and the first villain from the Incredible Hulk movie, and the first villain from the Iron Man movie. I mean, they've had a
They
lot of really
they had
generic.
way more going on than this one.
Yeah. And funny enough, this is the actress who plays the villain in this movie is actually Tom Hiddleston's wife. Actually, funny enough.
Ah,
So you have Zoe Ashton who plays Darbin in this. She has a generic villain plot. She wants to save her home world because it was messed over. It was fucked over by Captain Marvel. She's the one that destroyed their whole supercomputer, and it ended up making the planet they live on almost inhabitable. They have no sun. They have no
yeah, but
ocean.
how?
I guess because they were just listening to the computer tell them to do everything. So without the computer, then that's why it messed up everything, I
That
guess. I don't know.
yeah, this movie as a whole. I'll let you finish, but yeah.
So yeah, so because of that, then she's on a war path to get the resources back to her planet, and one of the ways she's going to do is by getting one of the bangles, the same bangle that Miss Marvel has. And then what she's able to do with the bangle is like shoot beams up to the sky, which I thought we were done with that. I thought superhero movies would move past that. Now shooting the whole beam up in the sky, but I guess not. And then she's able to shoot the beam up in the sky, and it's able to crack the I think it cracks the universe, I guess, and reality, and it says like splits it, and things like that. Obviously, that's disastrous, and they have to stop her. So that's the basic setup of what's going on in the Marvels. Um, and I will say that this movie, I mean, concept wise, it feels like it doesn't even really have a plot that's worth the length of this movie. This feels like it should be like a television special on Disney Plus channel. Like, it doesn't have a plot that's even. I don't feel like that's even long enough for that. For this movie, and I think a lot of stuff here, I feel like I like the actresses. I like Brie Larson. I like Iman Vellani. I like Tiana Paris. But them as characters in this, I don't know if they work so well that much in this movie. And sometimes when they are interacting, it is fun. And you'll see in the movie one of the gimmicks of this movie is that while the main villains is like she's doing her whole thing with the bangle and shooting the beam up in the sky, it messes with their kind of abilities, and they switch places when sometimes they use their powers, which makes for some fun, creative action scenes in this. I will say I did like that a little bit, where they kind of fighting, and you're able actually to see the fight scenes in this, where I think it's coordinated pretty well. So that's I think kind of fun. But other than that, I don't think there's really much going on in this movie, and it just feels like so hard. They're trying to lean so much into the comedy, maybe worse than I think I've ever seen them really do before. And not to say I wanted this movie to be super dark or anything like that, but it's just like a lot of the comedy moments I feel like really really just don't work. There's a sequence where they go to a planet where the language of the planet is just all song, which I was like I don't know why that was a thing. That just seems like y'all kind of left that in the drafts. Um, But I'm gonna pass it to, Dusk here, and then Radiant from Truth, why they never showed the Supreme Intelligence on screen. They did actually in this movie, they did show the Supreme Intelligence, in this film. And then, he also said, they need a public service division just, for cracks in reality at this point. I mean, I guess that's what kind of Saber is, because that's what they have here, which is run by Nick Fury in this, who Nick Fury, we're gonna get to him in a minute, but feels like a completely different character. If especially this is such a tone shift. If you watch like Secret Invasion and then you watch this, it feels like such a complete tone shift from this character. But I'll pass it to Dusk. Dusk, what do you think about the Marvels?
You know, I'm reminded of a scene. The only funny, decent scene from Transformers 2. The character John Turturro, when he's being assaulted by just stupid words from one of the Autobots, finally goes, "All right, old man, listen. Start from the beginning. Tell me the plot. Beginning, middle, end, plot. Come on, let's go." That's what I felt like this entire movie. Okay, guys, what is the plot? Just tell me the beginning, middle, and end. And because parts of it felt like it was the middle, we were in the middle of this. If you hadn't seen two or three other shows, you're not going to know who these characters are. And even if you have, you're still not going to quite understand what is even happening. Things feel very piecemeal together. This movie seemed to, from the rumors, had a lot of chopping done, plots being cut out, characters, and you feel it.
Mm,
This movie is a complete mess. Characters have arcs that are just rushed to an end. Things are started and then quickly wrapped up, sometimes within the same scene. Characters are so wildly different between where you've seen them before to where they are now. Their powers are pretty vague, if I'm going to be honest. Like Pulsar's power. Oh, I can see spectrums of light. And you're like, oh, well, okay. How did you get that power again? Oh, I went through a witch hex and that gave me the power. You're like, what? That has
uh,
nothing to do with you getting. How would that? You know what? Never mind. I don't care. Uh, Captain Marvel shot an engine and she got exploded, and that's how she got her power. Not how the original Captain Marvel got his power, where he was a Kree superhero, and they basically just ignored his existence while giving his bangles to Kamala Khan. So the fact that those bangles exist, but not Captain Marvel, who they changed to make the intelligence in the first one, who she blew up. Then the villain of this entire thing. Oh my god, I could. It made no sense, and she's so terrible in this. I mean, she could be a fine enough wife for Tom Hiddleston. Good for him. She looks nice, but man, she just has this eyes where she whenever she does like an acting thing, she has her mouth open and like extends her eyes. I don't know if the eye thing that you have over your eyes to change your eye color. I don't know if that was irritating her eyes, but I noticed it. And once I noticed that she was always opening her eyes wide,
mm,
I never stopped being noticed.
mm,
There's a whole attempt at a Bollywood scene in this movie that is just completely terrible, just super cringe and out of nowhere. The tone in this movie is out of completely all over the place. It doesn't know what it wants to be. Sometimes it wants to be taken seriously a little bit, but then it immediately goes to jokes. And Nick Fury here might has not even been in this movie because the scenes at the end is wildly different from the Nick Fury, even in Secret Invasion, who himself was wildly inconsistent from the Nick Fury of the previous movies. And
mm,
I couldn't even understand what the plot was. Why do you want this? How did this happen? What is even happening in this? How are you taking resources and moving this to your planet? Like I can understand maybe air, like atmosphere, sure, I guess, but with water and then later the sun, you're like, wait, how? Where are you putting this? How is matter being transformed? You have to give me a reason, damn it. And this movie just never quite does. It
yeah,
feels like a miscombobulated movie that was cut enough to be 80 minutes and then put into a movie.
yeah. Yeah, and her whole yeah, so like I said, she forms these kind of cracks in reality and then makes these kind of jump points. Is like what you see in like, for instance, like the Guardians movies, like what the Guardians are able to do. it's like what every kind of space movie does, like, in order to
I mean,
travel,
they have to.
yeah, and I was like, "If we gotta get from this planet to this other planet, how are we gonna get there in this amount of time?" Oh, jump points or, hyperspace travel, every science fiction stuff has it, Star Wars, Star Trek, everything has it.
But
So,
usually they have rules.
you know yeah, they got a certain set of rules, and then so she's able to kinda with this bangle and then plus her hammer that she's got from Ronin, this kinda Ronin type hammer that she has, and she even makes Ronin the Accuser, who was a flat villain in himself, even makes him look like, he's a super complex villain.
Yeah, but
Uh
it's the same hammer, but it still has the purple indentations from when the Power Stone was in it. So, is the Power Stone remnant still in that hammer, or what's going on with that? How is she using that?
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't really get that because what we see of her, a little bit of her backstory, she was just like kind of like a regular soldier
Yeah,
of
how did
the
she get into a position of power?
yeah. And how she's able to take on these three heroes with powers, especially Captain Marvel,
Oh,
who's
yeah.
one of the most powerful people in this entire universe. And they're, what I mean, there's some scenes where she's getting fucked up. So I was like, how is she taking all this, all these beatings and everything like that? And it's like, I just don't believe she's like this villain is capable of being a big villain for these three
Yeah.
heroes to take on, and they would struggle so much to like take her down.
Besides the bangle where the power source is, we're never explained that it gives power to her directly or how it even works. It just seems like to being a jump point, an inadequate one.
Yeah. It just seems like it's not. I there's some scenes where they show the Bengal can like absorb power, and
Sure.
I thought they were gonna do a thing where maybe like Captain Marvel, it's like a Superman parasite type thing, like the more
Right,
she
yeah. Where she's gaining their power, that's why she's able to take the hits later.
yeah, but I don't think they really. I don't know.
No.
Maybe they didn't explain it too well, or maybe she
No,
was doing that, or then they didn't.
because then she just takes all the power from that energy to hit, the bangle, and it creates the jump point. So she's using that energy to open up a tear in space, which I go, "Okay, that's great." Um, but where are you gonna put all that elements? Where are you gonna put all that in space where you're taking the matter to somewhere else? There's
Yeah.
just so many things in this and so many questions that just are just made and then never fully resolved. Did you notice there are characters in this movie that appear and then are never mentioned ever again? Like she has a
Oh,
buddy, she has like a guy that's with her that's trying to give her advice. He's
yeah.
just
Her
left
consult.
at the battle at one point and then just never mentioned again.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, and we're gonna spoil it because I don't think this really is worth splitting into 2 shows and doing, like, a non-spoiler review and then a spoiler
Yeah,
review. I don't really 'cause so we are gonna spoil because there are some mid-credit scenes in this movie that
yeah.
happen, and it seems like it feels like an Ant-Man 3 type situation where this movie just feels like it was only created to set up something else. And I felt like that's what I said about Ant-Man 3, where it was like this movie just feels like it was just created to introduce Kang. I feel like this movie was just created to introduce something else, and we're gonna get into it, when we do this spoiler discussion, we discuss what happens at the end of it. Um, but yeah, I mean, the villain was really terrible in this. I mean, I'm sure the actress is very good, in other things, but I just think what she has nothing to work with here at all. Just your typical kind of villain. You have other side characters like you have Kamala Khan. Her family is in this, so if you've watched Miss Marvel, you probably already know her family. You're probably
Honestly, the
introduced.
best part of this movie.
I did like the stuff with her family. I thought the mom and the dad, even though there's some bad stuff that happened with the dad
Oh,
in
yeah.
his personal life, but
Oh, yeah.
they probably won't bring his ass back no more. So he better enjoy that. This is the last Marvel check he ever gonna get. But yeah, I did like the stuff with the family, the brother, and everything like that. I think there's a little too much with them, like them having to be there at the Saber
Yeah.
headquarters or whatever. I was like, that seems unnecessary. The
Yeah,
stuff
that
with
that
oh
seemed like a compromise, kind of a decision by Fury, where it's like, "Well, just leave them there."
yeah, I don't know why you couldn't just
It's
like
do you have hundreds of homes? Just find them another temporary home in New Jersey that you use for emergencies and say, "Hey, you guys can hold up here while we fix your building."
yeah. Um, Stuff with Nick Fury. You mentioned Nick Fury. Yeah, I every stuff with him, and I guess they're trying to more like go back to the way his character was, maybe like the dynamic he had with Captain Marvel when he was in the first Captain Marvel movie, which I kind of like their chemistry in the first Captain Marvel movie. And myself personally, about what I think about Captain Marvel, the first one, I just think it's okay. I'm not really big on the movie myself. I don't think it's like one of the better entries of the MCU films that they've ever had. I just think it's just okay.
Mhm.
But I think it seems like they're trying to bring that Nick Fury back, like the one that we saw there, which was a little bit more his, goofier side, maybe of Nick Fury. But like I said, if you just came off of Secret Invasion and you're watching this Nick Fury now, it's just such a tone shift and everything. And it feels like everything they're doing with him is just like kind of a joke after joke after joke, which sometimes can work. I mean, it's not like they've never done that with Nick Fury before. They have, like, if you remember, like, what is it, Iron Man 2, I think he says like the line, I got my eye on you or something. I think he says that in Iron Man 2. So it's not like he's never done that. And you want to bring out a little bit of Samuel Jackson's personality because, he's obviously got a big personality. And at this point in Samuel Jackson's career, he's just playing Samuel Jackson. I mean,
Yeah.
he's just showing up as like, I'm Samuel Jackson. But what did you think about Nick Fury here in this?
Uh, just stop. Like, please. I like Samuel Jackson is a fantastic actor, and I've loved him and everything, and I like Nick Fury as a character, and I miss Nick Fury as a character because they have just been they the difference between the two is now no longer even apparent. It's just Samuel L. Jackson just playing Nick Fury. If he wasn't already by a certain point, they've just invested. And if you're not interested in playing Nick Fury anymore, give it to somebody else who gives a damn. And writers, please write Nick Fury as a character. He should not be. He can have little moments of quote unquote comedy, but the comedy should always be dry, and it should be a wit to it. There, having just kind of an outlandish comedy duo between them worked kind of when he was a green agent, but he's a veteran now. He would maybe be a bit snarky or witty with Carol, but that trust issues Fury would still be prevalent. He'd be mostly serious, and then occasionally he'd say something. But having him just be a goofball, there's just some lines in this movie where I'm like, yeah, that was meant for a different character, but he said it anyway. Anyways,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
I don't understand the obsession with cats from him. Never did, even in the first Marvel movie. I thought that was just BS. And what that cat did with his eye completely destroyed the mystery of the eye. I've never liked it. I've always considered the death of Nick. Honestly, I've always considered they killed Nick Fury when that with that whole cat gag in the first Captain Marvel. Because
Yeah.
the moment they did that, they destroyed the buildup of Civil War. Nick Fury, what he mentioned by never trusting everyone, the mystique with that eye patch, which in the comics has always been a back and forth, never reliable reason because it didn't matter. What mattered is that he was betrayed at one point and that helped develop his character. We the audience were never quite meant to know what happened to that eye patch. And by giving it that answer, and especially a stupid one as that, it completely deflates the mystique of his character. And and I'm tired of seeing it, personally speaking. I saw it in Secret Invasion. I hated it then. And with this, just retire, Sam. Just walk away. Stop accepting the Marvel checks, buddy. It's okay. You've got enough of them. What do you need? A
Uh,
bigger tombstone?
yeah, he needs all the money, man. He needs all the money. Yeah. I so there's only small things like about it. I think we mentioned before. Like the dynamic between the three of them works sometimes, and then Kamala Khan fanning out, over Captain Marvel is kind of cute and kind of sweet a little bit. And especially since of Vellani, the actress actually is a big comic book fan, and she's like she does read the comics and and things like that. So, and there's actually, you can see online, like there's a letterbox review of her review for Captain Marvel that she has. I think she gave it like 2 stars. Um,
Yeah.
and I think she said, I'd give my leg for or arm for Brie Larson as Captain Marvel, but this movie just, just ain't it or something.
Yeah. No,
Uh,
she's a genuine person and that and everyone else is doing by the book. And her earnestness bleeds out through her character. Even if you're not a fan of Kamala Khan, and I've never been the biggest fan of her character, I like the actress because you can just feel the earnesty and the honesty in her as an actress, and it just bleeds the character, and it is
yeah,
infectious. It is
yeah,
genuinely infectious, and when she's with her family, the Miss Marvel show was not great, was kind of bad actually, but I never had a complaint when it came to her family and her.
Yeah.
If there was a problem, it wasn't her or the family.
Yeah.
She she deserves a better writer and a better situation for her because she is pitch perfect casting if you're going to try for a character like the Kamala Khan, who has never been well liked even in the comics. Marvel's been trying to push her as the second Spider-Man to another age giant, and it's just never worked out. But if you're gonna do that, she was perfect casting to play that kind of a character because she generally does have a sweetness to her and a general just likability. You're just like,
Yeah.
yeah, you just feel like a legit person and a fan and a human being, and you have heart, kid, and that's you can't copy that. That just has to come naturally.
Yeah. Yeah, and so I do, and then with Keanu Paris, I like her. Like I said, I like these actors.
Mhm.
Just this, like I don't feel like I know more about Monica Rambeau in this
Yeah,
being one of the leads. I don't feel like we kind of getting information we already know. She had a mom. Her mom died. She kind of feels angry at Captain Marvel for not being there when her mom died.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
all right,
What was the point of this movie?
you know,
Like, really, they're dying with the problems with it. There was really never felt like a reason to have that there.
yeah. That kind of tension that they kind of have, which kind of gets resolved kind of quickly anyway. It's kind of like
Yeah,
that kind of, it kind of gets resolved kind of quickly, so there's nothing there. And then with Brie Larson's Captain Marvel, I like Brie Larson as an actress. I wanna see them do more with her as Captain Marvel. I don't know where they're going with this character. I don't know how long she wants to be Captain Marvel for. I don't know now that there's no Tony Stark anymore, now that Black Panther, Chadwick Boseman, who I think if Chadwick Boseman hadn't passed away, he would have been the new person. It's like, "Okay, hey, you are gonna be the new face of maybe this. You and maybe Tom Holland as
mhm.
Spider-Man, you're gonna be the new faces of this."
He was, yeah. I mean, rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman. Great guy. But he asked to be recast. He and his family asked to be recast because Black Panther should not. T'Challa is too much of a character to be just left to just me to portray him. And Marvel didn't listen, and they just decided to just let him die in universe. And I think that was a poor decision, especially in the long term. It's okay to recast a character if it's done respectfully, especially when the person who played the character gives their blessing.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
they're out of characters now, man. If I'm gonna be honest, they're running out of the original crew. That no one they're not respecting Bruce Banner as a character. They haven't respected him honestly in a long time. They've treated him like a joke as Mr. Green. Uh, Thor is a complete joke thanks to Taika Waititi and Chris Hemsworth and everybody involved. I could give two shits about Valkyrie. She
mm,
doesn't deserve to be queen. They just handed her the keys to the kingdom, even though she didn't deserve it. And she enslaved people, and they've never really wrestled with that. She was a horrible, awful person, and they've never quite wrestled with that. They're just like, nah, yeah, we're just not going to talk about it, and here you go. And I'm sick of that. I'm sick of
uh,
the way that Marvel just undercuts everything they do and brushes it aside. You don't have any, and I know what they're trying to do. We'll talk in spoilers, but they're trying to set up for the future of Marvel. And I'm going to be honest, man, there is no future.
yeah. So yeah. So I mentioned those things. Other positives, like I said, I like some of the fight stuff.
Mhm.
Switching is a cool little gimmick for a little bit. The coordination between that is kind of fun in some of the actions. It makes it at least, I think that's kind of fun. The coordinated attacks there. I'm a sucker for good coordinated attacks. A superhero
Sure.
team. I'm kind of a sucker for that. So I kind of like that a little bit here. Them kind of getting used to this new power. But everything else, I think, is really just I don't think the good this is too much bad to really, I think, somewhat outweigh the good here, the little bit good that there is. I think, yeah, a lot of the humor just feels way too forced. The gags there, super weak villain, probably one of the weakest villains that they've ever had, in this, and that's saying like I said, that's saying something. They've had a
Mhm.
lot of really generic ones, like the Dark Elf, and they've had a lot of really super,
Yeah.
super generic ones. That's kinda saying something. And I don't think it's any fault of the actress. I just think it's the material. I think it's and that she was given, and like Thus said, this movie's been chopped up and screwed so much, and you can feel that I think in this of so much stuff taken out and added in and taken out again. So yeah, for me, I would just give it a low stream it for me. Um, what about you?
Honestly, this is a this is a skip it.
Skip it. Okay.
Yeah. I don't hate it enough to go burn it. I don't that's usually my go-to. If I hate something, like pure hate something, I burn it. But honestly, I don't. I'm pretty ambivalent to it. It it just doesn't work on a fundamental level, and you really
Mm,
don't miss or gain anything by watching this. And if you're really that curious for Miss Marvel content and the best parts of it, there'll be a compilation of all the Miss Marvel family scenes and Miss Marvel cut up on YouTube. Go watch that instead. You don't need to watch this movie. You're not gonna miss much. Yeah,
yeah.
this is a skip it.
So it's skip it and a low stream it from me. I could see giving it a skip it as well. I could see that. I don't I wouldn't fight you on that one. But so that was our non spoiler review. If you haven't seen the movie, you want to see it, step away for a little bit. We're gonna be getting into little spoilers, some stuff that happens in this movie. Like I said, this feels like just something to set up something else, and I'll get into that right now. So if you haven't seen it, step away now, and if you don't want to be spoiled, and come back in like 5-10 minutes. Okay,
Yeah, we'll be
so
quick.
3, 2, 1. So what happens at the end of this movie is that Monica, she sacrifices herself because the villain, she puts on both of the bangles. She ends up getting the bangle from Miss Marvel, puts on both of them, uses it, and then she kind of floats into space, and dies. Which, how does that happen again? Like, wait, is she too much power or something? Is that what happens or something?
Yeah, they said something along the lines of it's really quick. It's really a blink it or miss it kind of comment where it goes, it's too felt ADR'd, honestly, I'm gonna be honest. Where it was, oh, if you put on the bangles, both of them, you won't be able to handle the power. You won't survive the process of doing that last thing. But
Oh,
it
okay.
doesn't make any sense because she's already sucking up the sun. She's already taken the resource. Why do you need to do two bangles? You've already gotten everything you wanted
Yeah.
by that point.
Yeah. To make her more powerful. I don't know. I don't really
No, no.
know
I
how
mean,
that works.
I'm just being honest. It doesn't make
Yeah.
any damn sense.
Yeah. Rating for maturity says, "What was the last Marvel thing that didn't feel like it's just a setup?" I think Wakanda Forever didn't feel like just a setup. I would say that. I think they had some stuff in there that was like, which was some of my negatives, like the whole Ironheart thing. Like I feel like that character was just added in there just because, like, oh yeah, don't forget we gotta throw her in there because we got the Ironheart show coming up. But I think overall that movie didn't feel like it was just there to set up something else. Overall, I felt like. So yeah, so she dies. The villain. She uses the two bangles. And then, but before she dies, she creates this huge rip in the reality. So Monica Rambeau comes in with her powers, and she tries to patch up the either like glue the universe reality back together. And then she's like, "Hey, I can't do this. I can't come out on the other side. I have to stay back and fix the patch." And so she's able to do that, and gets stuck in like another reality. And then when she's stuck in this other reality, she wakes up and she sees her mother, Monica Rambeau, but it's not her mother. It's another version. I mean, I'm sorry, not Monica. I'm sorry, Marie Rambeau. I'm sorry, Marie Rambeau is there, and Monica is the child. I'm sorry, Marie. And then she sees her, but it's not her mother. It's her mother from another reality, and she's in this reality. She is binary, which is another identity of Captain Marvel there. And also, Creative Imagery says, "Where's the TVA on this?" They're not here. They're not mentioned at all in this. And then doesn't the TVA, when they deal with like time travel, right? They deal with like more like,
Yeah, they do with time travel or alternative universes.
okay. So so she's binary, which is another identity of Captain Marvel there. And then also you hear a voice coming in where she's in like this hospital room, and dun dun dun, the voice is Kelsey Grammer, who's returned as Hank McCoy, Beast, who by the way looks fucking horrendous. He looks
It
absolutely,
does.
it looks really fucking terrible. It looks like, it's like, why didn't you, I don't know if Kelsey Grammer went like, "Hey, I'm too old for you to be covering me in makeup and fur again like you did in X-Men 3. I'm not doing that shit no more." But when he comes out, Beast, it looks fucking terrible. It does. Like, he looks so shiny and blue. It just looks really terrible. And yeah, but it's like everybody cheers, like, "Oh, it's Kelsey Grammer, who's Beast," and everything like that. Who's made returns before? Like he was also in Days of Future Past.
For the briefest of cameo, yeah.
Yeah, he was also in that for the yeah, and I like Kelsey Grammer's Beast. I like his he
Oh,
like
he's pitch perfect casting.
he does fit his voice does fit. So I don't know, maybe he's too
Even his
old.
body, even his jawline, his face fits Beast perfectly.
Yeah. So I guess maybe he was just too old. Like, hey, listen, I'm not coming on set and getting all makeup for all that stuff to be on it. Just CGI, just do it. So yeah, so that's the big reveal. Is like it's clearly setting up X-Men. And in this reality, Charles Xavier hadn't died like in the other, like in Doctor Strange 2, where WandaVision, she snapped his neck and everything.
That was so stupid.
So this Charles Xavier, he's still alive in in this other reality. So yeah, you have that. So that's the big one there, and then another one is that Aman Vellani, Kamala Khan, she's gonna be playing the Nick Fury role where she goes around and recruiting the younger superheroes, and then one of the younger ones that we see is Kate Bishop, who's Haley Steinfeld, who she was in the Hawkeye show. She's the new Hawkeye. And she comes in as like the Nick Fury role, all in darkness, like, "Hey, do you want to join a team?" Which is actually, I don't know, because it's Iman Vellani, I bet she probably freaked out over doing that and probably had a lot of fun. So I had a lot of fun watching that sequence. And yeah, so they're setting up that she's gonna go around recruiting a lot of the younger superheroes. And then it's funny that Kate Bishop says, like, "Well, actually, I'm 23. I'm not like a kid superhero. She'd probably be the oldest one on the team, probably." But yeah, so those are the two big ones. And then the movie also has like some other cameos, like Tessa Thompson, Valkyrie. She comes back in this, where she takes the Scroll people because the Scroll people lost their home again, and they have to find a new
All right,
home.
let me hold on real quick though. Wasn't the whole damn premise of the Secret Wars, I'm sorry, Secret Invasion, was they couldn't find them a home? Well,
Yeah,
they found the scroll of fucking home. That
yeah,
was the whole goddamn premise, that Nick Fury couldn't find them a home. Oh, we found them a home. Oh, what happens that their home got temporarily destroyed? And by the end credits, they're like, oh, all the planets are fixed and all the resources were brought back to them, so they're okay. So you're like, oh, so they can just put them back to their old planet again. They're good to go now, to the planet we found for them, that Carol Danvers and Nick Fury found for them. So Secret Invasion makes even less sense in context now in these movies. Their whole premise falls apart.
well, because you're saying because at the end of this movie she fixes the Kree homeworld, so you're saying
Oh
she
no,
could.
no, she fixes all of them. Yeah, she fixes the Kree world as well. Spoilers. Yeah, she could have done that at any time. She could have just run into their sun. She had 30 years after the war that she blew up the computer, which even though destroying the resources should have had absolutely nothing to do with destroying the computer.
Okay.
They were run by millennia. It should have been we're warmongering or something else that had nothing to do with it. But to ratchet up tension, they're like, oh, all the resources are hurt, and that's why I'm doing this because I want to restore our home planet to good. I'm like, well, you guys have been portrayed in the comics. It's not quite this way. Yeah, the Kree are kind of bad sometimes, but it's mostly the Skrull that are bad. And they flip the script in this universe where it's the Kree that are kind of assholes sometimes,
Mm.
and the Skrull are just refugees, even though Secret Invasion proved that they're actually just as evil, just differently. Whatever. It gets very convoluted in its own way. But yeah, she just could just fly into their sun and fix it. So the sun got fixed. And it's like, oh, well, I guess the rest of our problems are going to solve themselves because our sun is back. I'm like, yeah, sure, I guess. And then all the other planets got restored. So they fixed basically everything. So why are the scroll can go back to the planet that they just ran from? And why are there millions of scroll on our planet Earth if we found them a new planet that they can go on? They're
Well,
kings even there. Why the hell are the scroll on our planet then?
Uh, you, you saying the Skrulls go back to the planet that the villain blew up?
The villain didn't blow up the planet, not
Yeah.
by like the ADR.
I thought she like completely like destroyed it.
She took
Oh,
off like took all the air and stuff, but they said by the end it's because after Monica Rambeau disappears, Nick Fury asked how's everything. Oh, all the planets that all resources were taken from are look like they'll recover and
oh,
everything should
okay.
work out.
So
And
I
so like,
guess.
oh, so it's all recoverable now. It's good to go. I don't know how they quite fixed that, but sure.
Uh huh.
All
Yeah.
also that ends well. They have a planet. Send all the scroll on Earth and those new scroll back to that planet.
Yeah. Uh,
So I don't understand that whole. It just It pisses me off even further. It makes Secret Invasion make no sense from the context of it.
Yeah.
Also, why
Um,
are they even allowed on the planet considering that the President of the United States just basically said all aliens on the planet need to get the fuck off our planet and we start shooting?
um, aren't certain superheroes aliens? Like
Yeah, that
Thor's
was stupid in the show, but he still did it.
like Thor's technically an alien, and
Yes, Thor is technically an alien. The
all the
Asgardians are technically aliens.
yeah,
That was
um,
dumb too. Why aren't they finding a way to restore Asgard?
yeah.
Also, Asgard
Well,
wasn't.
Asgard is where is that? That's not in the United States, is it?
No, no,
Asgard?
no, no, no. Like New Asgard's in like Sweden or
Oh,
some
yeah,
shit, but
Sweden.
it's
Yeah,
still
so
on the planet Earth. And
yeah,
like he's just basically saying the world. Like I mean, and a lot of leaders. I mean, hey, I can't blame them. A bunch of leaders of the world were also Skrull. We don't know who's who.
yeah,
Sure. I mean, it's dumb. It's dumb no matter how you paint it, and really sets us up really bad. But I'm just saying, man, it just starts getting. You start just rubbing your eyes and going, this. Nobody's talking with anybody, and it
yeah.
really falls apart really quickly.
And there was also like this goofy ass thing they did in the movie where the power that the cat goose has, where
Mhm.
it shoots out tentacles and swallows up things. There was a whole thing of the ship where the Saber ship was going down, and they needed to take the whole crew off. So instead, they let the cat who Goose had a bunch of babies, and then all the little kitties go around swallowing the whole crew, in order to teleport them to get them off the
Yeah,
ship.
but the station. The funny thing is, they said, "Oh, the station's in danger." The station never got attacked once.
Yeah, I forget what happened with the state. What was
Yeah,
wrong with it? It was
yeah.
like,
No, it's like, oh, we're losing like power, I guess, because
oh,
the sun.
because
Yeah,
the power from the all right, because she was using the thing near them because she was taking the Earth's
yeah.
sun. Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. 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 Right. Right. That's
It
what.
it happens
Yeah.
so quick, and not much external damage is happening for you, the audience, to indicate that this is happening.
Yeah.
I mean, and
Um.
then they play the Cats musical song while people in horror are being eaten by kittens. And I'm wondering what is the tone of what the hell is happening here, but
Yeah. It was kind of fucking good. I was like, what the fuck is this?
yeah, and I
It
was
was
just
like,
shaking my head.
I mean, kitties are cute, I
I
guess.
mean,
So
sure,
they're
they had an
cute.
8-hour live stream of cats to promote the Marvels.
Yeah, they're cute. But I mean, I don't know, Sage. Maybe you'll like it. Sage is a cat man. He's got a cat. Maybe you'll like it. Yeah,
Catman.
So I was like, okay, I guess. But so yeah, that was the Marvels. Spoilers,
Yeah, they
non
did
spoilers.
also Radiant Infantry. They did also rescue everyone who had been placed by Skrull in the Secret Invasion. Anyways, they did, making that series even more redundant.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um.
Fury didn't look real hard. Uh, yeah, that's just it's so dumb. It's so
Yeah.
dumb because all of this makes no damn sense and retroactively destroys setups and things. And clearly, they weren't talking to each other, and they tried to have their cake and eat it too. Have the Skrulls still be refugees, like yeah, they are in this movie,
Mhm.
but they were the bad guys in the previous thing in that invasion, and that could have worked. It could have worked if the Skrulls. There were only a few Skrulls on Earth, and they were secretly not, and they didn't know there were as many as there were, and they were a schism, not related to the Skrull Emperor at that time.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we have a planet full of Skrulls. We're not doing this. Or if we are, somebody else is doing this. And that could have been its own thing where, oh, like the Skrull are kind of splitting. They have a schism where they're kind of having like a Kree schism like they did before, where
Yeah.
the new one is like, no, I just want to chill and have our people in peace on this planet. And the other Skrull, like, fuck that. Let's just take Earth too, because we're running out of population.
Yeah. So yeah, that was the Marvels there.